Yes. But it is Thursday. It's Tuesday. Why did I think it was Thursday? It's Tuesday, April 4th. Can't believe it. And we're going to be talking about money. I love that Bob and Sandy and originally Earl put this program together, and that they, the first lessons are so important. But I think we have to get really specific about money and think about it in less general terms and more in specifics. And while we do go at it in general terms, I love what Bob does at the end here. And he creates, if you have your workbook handy there, he calls it the Wheel of Fortune, and you decide on the number of MSIs you will have. And we've been exposed to that, and I can talk more about that this week when we talk again on Thursday. But, so many misconceptions and so many paradigms, unhealthy paradigms about money. If I make more money, someone else is going to make less. The idle rich, or, thinking poorly of someone who has money because of their attitude about it. And we have a really excellent opportunity here to think about and talk about money in a way that helps us create healthy paradigms around money, because the truth is, you can have all the money you want. And we learned that in the Science of Getting Rich, right? And Bob does reference that, I believe, in this lesson. He did in the preview he did for us consultants. But he basically says, if you create an image in the formless substance, it must move to and through you into form. And so what prevents us from doing that? Lisa and I were just talking about how our paradigms really slow us down here, and we don't even see it. So welcome to everyone. I know Kathy's in listen mode. I think we're missing a few other people, but hopefully they'll catch the recording. But Lisa, do you have any wins for the week?
I'll have to come back to that.
No worries. Don't worry. Here's what I would encourage you to do. Here's a thought exercise that I hope you turn into a life exercise. I've just started doing this. Wake up every morning and say, what are the wins I'm going to have today? And start to future pace or segment intend your wins, because often we wake up and we think, well, I hope the day turns out well, or I hope this goes well. But what if we said, I'm going to have these wins this week? As you're planning out your week, you think, what would be a win this week? What would be a stretch win that would lead to my stretch goal? Oh, I'm going to do something new. I'm going to do something that scares me. I'm going to advance the cause by doing A, B, and C. And that's a way for us to become proactive about our wins versus, oh, this thing just showed up, which is totally cool. I'm all for that. Life should show up in a magical way for us. But think about that twist, which is where you say, wouldn't it be wonderful if, wouldn't it be amazing if, wouldn't it be cool if this and this and this happened this week? Like, you start to future pace it, and you start to think about the wins you'd like to have. And that's how we can get mentally involved in creating a positive flow in our lives. So with that, we're going to talk about money. Now, if you haven't started listening to this, I would totally encourage you to listen to this. As we know, Earl created this program back in the 60s, but Bob's really bringing the heat here and talking about a concept that before I met Bob, I was really introduced to by Robert Kiyosaki, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talks about MSIs. He talks about thinking differently about money, and we'll get into the specifics of that. But Dan and I have really embraced this and taken this to heart, and we are actively finding MSIs and investing money in it, finding things that work, finding things that don't work as well, and doing that in an effort to help our students in our graduate program in the RPM, Rapid Prosperity Mastermind. That's a mouthful. Helping them to find ways to make money on their money, as well as, starting businesses, coaching them to be more profitable in the businesses that they're running, etc. But I think the very first concept that we have to understand is, so many people have so many different ideas about money. And if we think about money as just an abstract thing, just a completely neutral thing, I want you to think about it this way. It's not the money in and of itself that is valuable. It's what the money provides. When Natasha was there, in that hospital room in New York City, I was just very, very grateful that we could afford the kind of healthcare and health insurance that would allow her to be treated by the best people, where she was, for something that could have been very life-threatening at worst, and as it turned out, serious at best. So people will say to me, well, I'm not really that motivated with money, or money doesn't mean that much to me. And they make it very clear in here. And I want to just reemphasize this, reiterate it, that money is an amplifier. Money is an amplifier. It allows you to extend the reach of the good you can do. If you are a jerk, and we've all seen it in restaurants, in retail stores, in bars, people who have money, who are not well positioned with their paradigms in terms of loving people and using money. If they flip it the other way around, use people and love money, those people, that aspect of their personalities and their paradigms get amplified. And I think that's part of what gives money a bad name. People will kill other people for money. People will do a lot of crazy things for money. The truth is, as Bob said, when he figured out where the money came from, he never, ever was short on money again, because he knew it all started in the same singular place, in the formless substance. And here he's giving us this formula, and it's so powerful, because the truth is, we should be able to have exactly as much money as we want, and we should never want for anything, right? I mean, wanting things is good. Wanting to extend your reach is good. Philanthropy, in my opinion, is good. And if you're a good person, like everybody on this call is, and everybody in this program is, money can extend the good you do. It's like he says here, it's a roof over your head, it's food on your table, it's healthcare for yourself and your family, it's education, it's traveling to the most amazing places. As an aside, Dan and I were watching, I think it's on Apple TV, Eugene Levy, who was in Schitt's Creek, very funny. He's been in many comedies. He's a Canadian comedian and just a funny guy. And so he's in this series called The Reluctant Traveler, and he goes to the Maldives, and then he goes to southern Utah, to this resort in southern Utah. Those are the only two we've watched. But I thought, there's so many amazing places in this world to go to. And wouldn't we all want to experience that and give that experience to our friends and family? So I don't think anybody here is going to say to me, money isn't that important, I really don't care about it. But it's important to know that you and I having exactly as much money as we want makes the world a better place. We're not taking someone else's share, right? Well, what did Wallace Waddell say, Lisa? When you're dealing with the infinite, you can never take more than your share.
Right.
So
yeah, there's no pie.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Were you one of those people who, like, when there was one cookie left, your mother, made you say, would anybody else like this cookie, when in fact, you were dying for the cookie, but or the piece of pie? Funny you should say that. Dan just bought a banana cream pie. Why? I have no idea. He must like that. Who knew? But that is the mentality that I was raised with, that money was hard to earn. They don't call it work for nothing. And I was definitely in the trading hours for dollars business. And getting into this material has really opened my eyes to say, how can I provide more value and express my purpose and get paid, as well as create secondary or primary sources of income, like Bob talks about on this last page, the Wheel of Fortune. So that's what this week is going to be about. And I really want all of you to really unleash your imagination. You will not know how, You absolutely will not know how. You'll have no foggy idea how you're going to make the money. But when everything's possible, and we know it is, what would you love? Like, how much money at this point in your life, because it always goes up, right? What once was a luxury is now a necessity. How much money would you love to be earning a month, a year? The what and the why. How much would you love, and why would you love it? And that is always our starting spot. If you recall, here comes the sick person, we always start with the dream, with the image, with the imagination, with the wouldn't it be nice if, and we always can build bigger and better dreams. And then we get emotionally involved. That's the why, the what and the why. Oh my gosh, how fun would it be for you, Lisa, to take your whole family on an all expense paid trip to, I don't know,
Caribbean.
the Caribbean. There you go. Right?
Yes,
First class seats, private jets. I don't know. I don't know your
absolutely.
world, right?
Yeah,
All expenses.
yeah, yeah. Why not?
Yeah, why not? So that's the kind of blue sky thinking. When I was watching that, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I need to increase my travel budget. When I was watching Eugene Levy, I'm like, I want to go see the Maldives before they are swallowed up by the ocean. I mean, they're the lowest atolls or archipelago. I mean, they're very close to sea level. But the world is so rich and so full. So we talk about money here, what it is and why it's important. And I want you to think about that for yourself, because our paradigms really color what we think is a lot of money and what we think is not enough money. I want you to think about how much money you want and then think again. Think about it and think again. So that's my first recommendation to you. And the second thing to start to think about, once you get the what and the why, is then you start to turn to what is the formula for earning money? So there's a couple of different ways, that he talks about this here. And he talks about the formula for earning money on the bottom of page 3. The earning of money is an exact science. And this whole page is brilliant. I mean, Bob says this. When I was growing up, I was left with the impression that if you were going to earn a lot of money, you had to be really bright. Well, that is not true. Really educated and really lucky. None of that is true. There are people who are not that bright who are killing it. And there are people who are very bright who are not making a lot of money. But it's all how we use our mental faculties, how we use our mental machinery, and what we give our attention to. So at the bottom of page 3 here, he says, try to remember this formula. The amount of money we receive will always be in direct ratio to the demand for what we do, our ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing us. So he goes into this, and he's not making a judgment call that the surgeon is better than the elevator operator. That's not the point here. But the surgeon has invested in himself or herself to the point where I know the gentleman who did the surgery on Natasha's hand is going to be quite well compensated, hopefully. The more skilled we are at our craft, the more highly paid we are. So if you're thinking about what you do and how you earn money, I want you to think about one thing, which is your ability to do it. So he talks about a 3-step method, the need for what you do. Is there a need for what you do? And like in your case, Lisa, your Spotify store, absolutely. There's a huge need, right? That's why you
Right.
solved a problem. There is a problem that you are solving.
Right.
A problem.
And I've
Huge
seen
problem.
actually, I've seen several stores just like mine trying to solve the same problem.
Right. But they
So
don't
that,
have
I guess
what
that takes us
you
to
have.
step 2.
Yeah, right. Your ability to do it, get better and
Yeah.
better at serving your clients, provide information, provide education. I mean, I want to share a story with you. So when I was 20, and I don't mean to, it's not about me, it's about the story. I had a part-time job at a health food store. This was in 1980. They had 3 stores. The family that owned this chain of 3 health food stores, 1980. Think about it. Health food wasn't a big thing then. The people that owned it had just bought it from the family that had started the business and grew it. And the family was really into it. The kids were really into it. Like, it was definitely a family affair. And they sold it to this couple, and they let their grown daughter run it. And they really, the husband was not healthy at all. They were not into it. And they just wanted to make money. And I said to them, this will not, I had a part-time job there. And I was really into it. I had been anorexic. I'd had all these health issues. And I said, you guys, this place is weird. It smells weird in here. I'm having trouble selling things. They're like, you just have to sell more. I'm like, nobody knows what to do with valerian root, and it smells weird, So like, we have to figure out how to educate people and really serve them. And they're like, you're 20, you don't know anything. We're not going to do that. Just sell more. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a winning strategy, but call me crazy. And my girlfriend and I, who both had a job there, started a store a block away. And we did exactly what we told them to do. We educated our clients about how to use the products in our store. We bought a bunch of books, from a supplier, and we opened a lending library, right? And we let people come in and take books because nobody knew why this would benefit them. We did cooking classes. We showed people what to do with tofu. We sent out a newsletter printed on paper to our mailing list. This was obviously, everything. Why do I tell you that story? Our competition went out of business. They were a block away. They had 3 stores. It was a very established business. My store was literally nailed together and painted. It looked cute. It was a cute store with 2 20-year-olds running it, who had borrowed money at 18% interest, actually 18 plus 2% over prime at 20% interest from the bank, with zero business acumen. Why did we prevail?
Because you let them leave with the impression of increase. They knew more
Yeah.
leaving your store than when they got there. They knew how to use
Exactly.
the product.
And we were very good at what we did. I'd have people coming in saying, oh, I need all these things. I need this long list of supplements. I'm like, wait a minute, let's see, maybe we can combine. Now, I probably talked the sale from $200 down to, $100, but they trusted me not to oversell them. And in the same time, I'd be talking to someone and they'd be like, well, I'm really stressed and this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, what's going on? And they'd start crying and say, well, my father just died. And then I was on this medication and that caused this side effect. And my doctor won't talk to me. And now I'm on this medication for that side effect. Again, I'm belaboring the point here, but the point is, if we get really good at what we do and we aim to serve at the highest level, and I'm not talking about over delivery, I'm talking about really serving, educating, building trust, building relationships with people, showing them our desire to help them, that really brings us up to a category of 1. Like, if someone talks to you, Lisa, and says, hey, my dog has this, that, and this, and I think I need to buy this from you. And you say, you know what? Actually, I think you need this. And I don't sell that, but I know this other person does. Who do you think they're going to come back to, even if they go buy that other product from somebody else?
Right. You've established trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you think about the good you do and the service you provide, think about the value you're providing, because that's the other side of the coin. And Kathy, in the consulting world, it's easy to feel like we have to compete on price, or we have to have a low price, or yada, yada, yada. If you think about what we teach, and I know you have some interest in consulting at some point, maybe possibly coaching at some point, Lisa, but this goes for Laura, this goes for Joni. If you get to be really, really good at what you do, look at the value that you are providing. And Wallace Wattles talked about that, right? What did he call that? The cost value versus, it wasn't the cost value, but the idea here is constantly hone your craft, constantly think, how can I provide better service? And then look at the value that you're providing. I mean, Lisa, you can say, well, I'm just selling dog products. No, you're saving that dog's life potentially. You're making that a happy home with that animal. What's the value of that? And how could you increase that service? And what could that turn into? It could be a video it could be a video series that you could, sell people, or it could be webinars that you could sell to people, or it could be a book, or it could be, this is how Bob expanded his business to have all of these MSIs. He had do-it-yourself programs that he sold at a low cost that would help people who couldn't afford to pay him directly for his services. He had a book that he gave away for free, but that generated so much business for him. So I'm not saying write a book, I'm not saying do any of the things I said, but I'm showing you when you get into this idea of providing greater and greater service and solving a problem for somebody, in the case of myself and Kathy as consultants, the problem we solve is people don't know how to think. That's not their identified problem. The problem they identify with is they feel stuck. They feel unhappy, even though they have a lot. They can't make decisions. They're stuck in an unhappy marriage. They can't make the money that they want. They've gotten divorced and they don't have the resources they used to have. All of these things are their identified problems. So when you get really, really good, like Bob was really good at what he did. Tony Robbins, reportedly, his 1 day VIP coaching is $1 million. Dean Graziosi, I think, charges $250 a day. Excuse me, 250,000. 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the math, right? You know who they both are. So
yeah.
So what's my point? If they're providing that value, if spending a day with Dean and you have consulting with him, and that takes you from, say, $1 million a year to $5 million a year, that's a good ROI. That's a good investment. If working with you and your company, Lisa, means the difference between your dog having to go back to the shelter or dealing with unpleasant dog situations for the rest of your life with this animal, that's a really good deal. So look at it from the flip side, from your customer's standpoint, from your client's standpoint. What's the true value of the problem I'm solving here? Bob used to say, Taylor Swift or Beyonce, people think it's unfair that they make the money they make, but they're in the entertainment industry and they're entertaining hundreds of millions of people and they're being compensated for that. Now you can say, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. Well, the people who are like killing themselves to get to see Taylor Swift live would disagree. So this is how we have to start thinking about ourselves as we provide value. The need for what we do, check. If you've found a problem and a solution, and you've solved it for yourself, that you're onto something. And then, like I do with my health food store, and believe me, when I tell you I could have filled a thimble, if that, with what I knew about running a business, I am not kidding. I am not kidding. But I was so driven to help people. And all I did was come up with creative ideas to help them, people to network with, doctors who were open to nutrition. I mean, this is 43 years ago. Everybody pretty much knows what you put in your body has an impact on it. Like, we're all kind of aware of that. This was not the case. So I was really educating people. And I think that's always the way if we're selling something that's leading edge, like the consulting we do, like the products you're selling, you're like, hey, did you know that if you have a dog like this, there's help out there? That's what we do. That's what we stand for. We find the best products and the best methods to help you. So the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the ease with which you can be replaced. In any market, know, like, and trustability are the three key things. And to me, they don't talk about it in this lesson, but if you go for the long sale, if you always make sure that people feel taken care of in some way, shape, or form, you will come out on top. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. I'll tell you another quick story. For some reason, Utah is hard on tires and windshields. That I understand. A lot of gravel on the roads, but I've had twice in the last 6 months almost a brand new set of tires, which, as if you put new tires on a SUV, you know that's not an inexpensive proposition. So good tires in my car. Dan comes home one day, went to get the mail, came back, and the tire was almost flat. I called around. It was Friday night. This guy said, "Come in, bring the car in tomorrow." We got the tire inflated with a compressor that my neighbor had, and we took it in, and we sat in there in Big O tires for probably 30-40 minutes. Pretty busy on a Saturday morning. They put the car up on a rack, handled the tire, pulled the car around, and I'm like, "Hey, where can I pay you?" And he's like, "Oh no, there was a screw in your tire." No problem. We took it out and plugged it. I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." And I really nice car. Thank you. I was like, "Okay." We both looked at each other like, wow, we were prepared to either replace the tire, whatever. It happened again about 4 months later. Where do we go? Back to Big O tires. Guess what? Pull the car around. No, there was a nail in the tire this time. I'm like, great. I'm like, "Can I give you guys some money?" And they're like, "No, ma'am. Just think of us when you go to put a new $1,500 set of tires on that vehicle." I'm like, "I will." And not only that, I'm going to tell all my friends that story. And I have. So now think of all the advertising they do on TV, and they do a lot. And think of all the print advertising they do and internet advertising. But guess what? As long as I live here, I will be a customer for life with them if they keep treating me that way. Not giving me free stuff, but when I need to go buy, however much, actually, I think the tires are almost $400 a piece, whatever, I will go to them because they've treated me so well. So think of the long game. Think of how you can serve and trust that the law of cause and effect, you will be rewarded. Okay. So that's one of the biggest things. And if you're working for a company, again, how can you serve at the highest level the people that you're working for? Which is almost always providing good solutions to your clients as an organization or as a company. But I love what he says here, which is Earl says here, how much money do you want? How much money do you need to live the way you want to live, to accomplish the goals you have established for yourself? Most people think they want more money than they really do and settle for a lot less than they can have, than they can earn if they went about it the right way. So on page 7, he says, at this point, sit back, relax, and let your mind flow freely. Realize that fantasy is the first phase of creating everything. We know that from lesson 1, right? We fantasize. And then when you've got that figure, think about your annual income, that you've turned your annual income into your monthly income. Think about that. I mean, think about it. That'd be a good start, right? For
That's
most
on my
of us.
vision board.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You're tracking it. Okay.
I'm trying.
So, and start to really see it and get into the energy of it. What blocks us most is we don't know how, or we don't have the belief in alignment. We haven't created praxis. Remember that? Thoughts, feelings, behavior, and attitude. We have to create the attitude that it is possible for ourselves. We have to believe that. How do we do that? We just keep constant spaced repetition. I know I can do this. I know other people are doing this. I know people who have gone from broke to being billionaires. Anything's possible. But staying in that energy of service and being open to new ideas is how we do this. Because when you're on the energy and the frequency of your goal achieved, all the answers are there, right? So we can't solve this income problem where we're currently thinking about it. We have to elevate ourselves. What would Elon Musk think about this? What would Oprah, how would she handle this? How would she build a consulting business that would operate with joy, ease, and grace, serving people at the highest level? So maybe we don't have an assistant now, but you know that the special sauce is you. Down the road, you're going to need to hire an assistant so you can expand the service that you provide. So I love this quote. The good life is expensive. There's another way that doesn't cost as much, but it isn't any good. Spanish distiller. Bob used to love that. So then he has us go through, our annual income to date. And if this figure represented my monthly income, I would make the following changes. This is where you get to have some fun. If you were making 100,000 a month, for example, what changes would you make?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah. What would you do just
Lot.
off the top of your head?
What would I do? I would probably move. I would sell my
Two.
house and move.
Okay.
I would stay here for now, but I would just move to another area. Yeah.
Nice. So we all know that that's part of the fantasy, right? Like I was talking to a client today who was in my TIR group, and she'd kind of lost her mojo. And I was like, well, why do you think that happened? I knew, or I had a good suspicion. But she said, I don't know. I said, are you really emotionally involved with your goal? And she said, no, I'm kind of being whipped around by my paradigms. And I said, well, that's your answer. And that's good news. We all fall off the horse. We just have to get emotionally involved. And why do we fall off the horse? Those dang paradigms. They are so tricky. They are so tricky. Oh, you really have a good life. You don't need to do that. That's not really that big of a deal. What if you couldn't do that? You're doing fine. They try to
You don't
talk
have
you.
time.
You
That's
don't have
mine.
time.
I'm so
Yeah.
busy. I mean, can a paradigm just bring distraction? Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden I have like faith. All of a sudden I have so much to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Of course.
And then it happened just after I launched the store. It's like suddenly all this stuff is just
Yeah.
coming.
Well, here's an interesting fun fact. Maybe the distractions, maybe your paradigm is allowing you to pay attention to the distractions versus being very focused on your goal.
Mm, that's very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little example. I went back to school as an adult, right, to finish my college degree. God rest my mother's soul, and my father-in-law, who was actually a really good guy. I never had a cleaner office than when I had a paper due.
I get that. You know why I get that? Because I do it.
Yeah. So, so avoidant behavior can have us be distracted, off task, shiny object syndrome. Oh, because maybe you don't know the next steps. Maybe you feel up against the terror barrier. Maybe you feel like you've tried and you are going to fail. Oh, well, if I just don't try and I fail, oh, well, I didn't try. It's common. That's mine. That's one of my things. I'm a chronic underachiever. I have a fair amount of natural talent, but when I get really up against it, I procrastinate like crazy because I can't see a clear path. Well, here's the problem. You have to sit down and think to have a clear path. All roads lead back to our friend, the stick person. When I'm thinking of the fantasy, when I'm really involved with serving people, seeing the impact this has made in my life, other people's lives, our lives together, I get really emotionally involved. I'm like, hell yes, I don't care if I have to walk on broken glass to find people to change their lives. When I'm in the fear, worry, and doubt, when the paradigm is like, come over here, check your email, clean your desk, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the disconnect is happening. What's the anecdote or the solution to that? Get reconnected to the fantasy and the vision and get emotionally involved with it and ask for inspired action. Talk to people, get advice. Know that the next step is right there, and the next step is right there, and the next step is right there. But you almost never, with a big C-type goal, do you see the whole road laid out. You'll never see that. That's by definition a proper C-type goal. Lisa, make a list of good ideas. Get into that energy of helping people have happy lives with their animals. likely saving animals' lives, and then ask for guidance, because that's when you're in the frequency. Kathy, same thing for you. Laura, same thing for you. Joni, same thing. It's the same thing for me. If I sit here and really think of the ripple effect, people have done the work, but I have been able to lead them to do the work. If I think of the ripple effect, it makes me so happy. And I know I can go to end of days feeling like, you know what, my life at this phase made such a huge difference. And I had so much fun doing it. When I'm connected into that, then, the fear of public speaking is like, yeah, whatever, you'll figure it out. That's a Google solution. Do you know what I mean? But we do it backwards. We try to get into the feeling, into the spirit of it, when we're outside of the spirit of it. We have to get into the spirit of it, and then the solutions come, then the ideas come, then all the answers come. And by the way, it's a much more fulfilling way to live.
And that was the video you posted not long ago.
Yeah, with Bob.
Bob's Inner Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I watched that like 3 times.
You can't watch that too much.
Yeah.
It's so good. That's how we're meant to live. That is how we're meant to live. We have these creative faculties. We are connected to the source of all that is, whatever that represents to you. I mean, if you think about the business partner you have, Lisa, what can't you do? Nothing.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Remember I showed you like my work, keep all this business in order, and ask the universe for the rest. Hey, I'd like to wake up and find an opportunity today. Hey, I'm going to set aside an hour to think about my business today. Just think about my business. Be in that creative juice. By the way, I have an announcement to make, which I'll make in just a second. But that's the way we're meant to live. And if we walk in faith, we will be led. I truly believe that. Ideas are here. You already have everything you need to know inside of you. And if you don't, you can access it. Your subconscious mind is connected. There's all one mind. There's all one source. We're all connected to that. What's the problem? The machinery gets jammed. How does it get jammed? Our paradigms, our limiting beliefs, our needing to know certainly the how, our focus on success and fear of failure. Those are all paradigms, and we're breaking those down here and rewiring ourselves, which is really beautiful. So, I love this next quote on page 8 where he says, the world will pay you exactly what you bargained for, exactly what you earned, but not a penny more. Do you remember the poem that goes, I bargained with life for a penny and life would pay no more? Well, that's about it. We will receive not what we idly wish for, but what we justly earn. Our rewards will always be in exact proportion to our service. If you don't like your income, you must devise ways and means of increasing your service. And this is an individual thing. No one can do it for you, although you can get ideas from others. So your service must come out of you, your mind, your abilities, and your energies. A strong person cannot make a weak person strong, but a weak person can make a strong person. A weak person can become strong on their own by following a specific course of action for a sufficient length of time. And a person who's already strong can become a lot stronger. So then he takes us through what we think we can earn, what we know we can earn, and what we really, really want. So I want you to go through this and play with it. Have a glass of wine, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee. He basically goes through the ABC goals here relating to our income. But know this, people will say to me, well, I want more money. And Bob used to do this in the paradigm shift. Kathy, you probably remember this. He'd walk around and say, well, what do you want? And the person would say, I'd want more money. And he'd peel off a dollar bill and hand it to him. And he'd go, there, you have more money. And then somebody caught on and said, I'd like 100. And Bob would peel off 100 and give them 100. But we have to be specific with our money goals because money is specific and measurable. So set a goal that excites you and inspires you but also know you can reduce it down to the ridiculous. So the last client I had a one-on-one call with wanted to up her income to 600 a year, 600,000 a year. So we divided that by 352, and it's $1,704 a day. Now, that seems a lot more doable in my mind than just 600,000 a year. The way I like to play with it also is people served. You know how McDonald's says 100 million burgers served. To me, I get so excited about the lives I want to change. So I think about people I want to serve, clients, at least from the income from my business. And I think I would love to serve 10 new clients a month. So that's 2.5 a week, or 5 every 2 weeks, let's call it. Then I start to get excited about that, and I put a price on the value of the program I'm selling, and then I can start to do the math on that. But if I just look at the math, I feel disconnected from what really turns me on, which is changing people's lives, right? So however it works for you, if you want to break it down by day, by week, by month, by customer, by units sold, by volume, but get specific and granular, because as the military says, fuzzy targets don't get hit, right? So yearly income, the amount of money you want to save or invest, a retirement income. And then they go through this, and he says, then start to put your time and money where your mouth is. And you guys are definitely doing that by being in this program, but you're going to have to spend extra time every week thinking, generating ideas, right? Because everybody's calendar is full. We're going to have to give up something of a lesser value for something of a greater value. So think about that. And then he goes into, M1, trading time for money, M2, investing money to earn money. Both are, good strategies. But M3 is this MSI technology where you invest in things that have residuals. And in Bob's case, he did programs that would sell, do-it-yourself programs that would sell day and night, and he would make money. He sold books, he sold courses, he sold coaching and consulting. Those were his incomes. But I'm sure he also had a diversified portfolio where he invested in other things as well. So on Thursday, we can talk more about the MSIs, but on the last page, on page 21, he has all these MSIs, and Dan and I, like I said, are in the process of investigating these, finding these. I mean, we have one that's returning 8 to 10% a month. Top line, that's not, you have to pay your taxes on that, of course. But we're also looking into several other things. And how did that all start? It started because we said, okay, we want to have a monthly income of X, and we can either work our butts off, charge more for our coaching. We talked about a lot of different ways to do it, and we're moving on all fronts. But one of the things we're doing is we wake up every month and that money's in our account on that investment that we've made. So there's things like that, and we're finding more of those things, which I'm happy to share with you, at another point. But start to think about, even if you don't have that many, how many would you like? And Kathy, I'm so proud of you. I know you're doing a lot of things on that front, and Lisa, you too. But what Bob says here is make a decision about how much money you want, and then how many MSIs would you like? And the truth is, once you make that decision, I'm going to figure out a way to make 100,000 a month, your awareness will be up, and you'll start to talk to people. You'll get ideas. You'll be into proximity with people who are doing that, right? But the decision comes first. The how comes second. So I'm going to leave you guys to do this lesson this week. We're going to meet on Thursday, but I'm also doing a trial thing that I would love to have you join us. You don't have to, it's not obligatory, but starting this week, at least for the next 4 weeks, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings, I'm going to be opening up the same Zoom room at 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mountain Time for a study hour. So I'm just opening it up, saying hello to people, and people are coming in and doing their study. If you'd like to join us, it's Monday, Wednesday, or excuse me, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Kathy, I know that's early for you. I don't expect you to be up at 5:30, but if you'd like to join us, please do. And it's part of my way of helping people, at least my TIR clients, to get in the habit of doing the work on a daily basis. I talked with a consultant that I respect, and she said, you know, it's funny. I'm doing the program the way it was recommended, which is twice a day. She's teaching and doing TIR. So she's reading the lesson every single day. And we have that here, right? Reading the lesson every single day and answering the questions and listening to the audio twice a day. Now, I know that seems like a heavy lift, but it's not about your conscious mind. It's about reprogramming the subconscious mind and to get us thinking. So to that end, I'm doing this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday thing, or yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I'm encouraging everybody regardless, really dive deep in the material. Think. Bob used to always say that, Kathy, I know you'd be laughing if I saw your face on here. Bob used to, he says it, right? Now think. I think he said that in that video on creation. Think. We have to think. We have to use those higher faculties. So I want you all to think and start to engage the machinery in the way that we're being led here. You know, how can I provide better service? How can I be in a category of one in my field? How can I provide greater value? Because doing that will have a huge impact on your clientele and on the prices you can charge and on the services you can provide. And you'll start to think of ideas right away of things you can be doing to expand the reach and to help people. And then start to think about how many MSIs would I like? Wouldn't it be nice if you could just wake up and you had an extra 10, 20, $50,000 in your bank account every month doing nothing? Yes, please.
Yeah. That would be
So,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, that would be nice. So, any questions about this?
No. I think I'm really moving in and out of understanding.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm moving in and out of getting it and not getting it.
Yep.
And then it's easy, and then I make it hard, and then it's easy again. So I think it's as long as I just keep moving in the right direction, I'm gonna get past that
Yeah.
ebb and flow, and I'm just gonna be flowing. It's just gonna get easier.
So the natural progression is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, that is the natural progression. Although I have a client in my TIR group who has just stripped it down and is bare bones, like just makes it really simple, does not overthink it, just does the homework and does what the homework tells her to do and embodies it. And the reason it's Lisa, that you're going forward and back, A, that's natural, but B, it's not you, it's your paradigm. It's your old way of understanding. It's your old way. I'm telling you, the paradigm is everything. And the good news is when you create a new paradigm, and that's what this lesson in particular is meant to do, is to create a new paradigm around money. Money is easy. Money is no drama. Money is the easiest thing in the world to make. Money is everywhere. I have opportunity to earn income everywhere. Isn't this cool what I'm learning? Now, paradigms like, oh yeah, well, but meh, like I get it. But what are you going to pay attention to? Pay it
I
no
think it's
mind.
time to make a new recording.
Yes, absolutely. With
Start
regard to
planning.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and the formula here is constant spaced repetition. That's why Bob is huge on it. It's boring as hell. But It's not for your conscious mind, it's for your subconscious. Because when you least expect it, you'll be like, oh, that's what Proctor meant. Oh, that's what Peggy was talking about. Oh, yeah, I thought about that. Like when when Bob was standing in front of, or he was in that room with Bill Gove, and he's like, God, if I could only speak like that. And to him, that was a huge pipe dream. Absolutely not going to happen. No way, not a chance. He was this tall, shy guy. He was gangly. He didn't know how to talk in front of people. And right in that moment, because he had listened to Earl's Strangest Secret 80,000 times or whatever, in that moment, Earl's voice came into his head and said, here we come upon the strangest thing. We overestimate what other people can do, and we underestimate what we can do. And in that moment, that raised awareness gave him the ability to make a committed decision. He said, you know what? Nightingale's right. Nightingale's absolutely right. I'm overestimating what Gove can do, and I'm underestimating what I can do. And if Gove can do it, I can do it. And not only am I going to do it, I'm going to pay Gove to teach me how to do it. Pub didn't have the money to do that, but he figured it out because he made the decision. So make a decision what you want your money paradigm to be, and stop playing into the drama of your money paradigm, or any paradigm for that matter, whatever your paradigm is about your business, about your ability to advance at work, about your ability to make money. Recognize it's all programming, and all roads lead back to this beauty. When you reprogram this, everything changes. And that's what our conscious mind is meant to do. But too often we get hooked up to our senses and say, oh, well, here's what I've done. Here's what I can do. Here's what makes sense. That's all based on past performance. That has nothing to do with what you're capable of. You're absolutely capable of turning your annual income into your monthly income. But you have to be in the mental space of it's possible, I believe it, reinforcing it, seeing the return on it, starting to talk to people, get involved with people, get excited about it, get into the fantasy, look online for a Caribbean, vacation that you're going to bring your family to. You know what I mean? We have to be it, and then we'll attract it to us. But we're so trained to work the other way. I'll feel prosperous and abundant when I have the money in the bank. That's like sitting in front of a fireplace and saying, give me heat. As Bob says, that dog won't hunt. That's not how it works. You have to believe it to see it, not the other way around. So start getting back into your crazy fantasy life, and just, Lisa, no worries. Your paradigms pulled you off track a little bit. Pull yourself back on track, the what and the why. What would I love, and why would I love it? And start planning for it, because if you stay in that vibration to the extent that you can, it will come like it's going to get dark tonight. It's the law of cause and effect. Whatever. Remember what Napoleon Hill was told by Carnegie? Anything held in the mind of man, either feared or revered, must immediately begin to clothe itself in the most convenient form possible. Whatever you think is going to come to pass will come to pass.
I wholeheartily believe that, but the strangest thing is sometimes I forget. Like, how do you forget something like that?
A lifetime of being taught exactly the opposite. That's how you forget.
Yeah, I totally believe it. Sometimes I forget. And
Yeah.
so I
Well,
just
that's
need to
okay.
remind
We know
myself.
what the anecdote to that is: building a different belief system.
Yeah.
You believe it on a conscious level, but now we just have to keep believing it on a subconscious level. And the faith is the key to that.
Yeah.
You got faith. Faith is the key to that. But the beautiful truth is, the more you do this, the more you see it, it creates an upward spiral, right? You act out, you step out in faith, you do something, you see the law of cause and effect, and then the cycle has a virtuous upward cycle. It goes in both directions.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one second. I got to show you who's visiting me. Hold on.
Okay. Oh, look at
Say,
him, him.
say hi to Melvin. This is my
Hey,
grand dog.
Melvin.
Isn't he
Oh,
cute?
he's cute.
He's a
Has he lost the
rescue.
oxa?
He's a poodle Shih Tzu. He's a Shih Poo. He's a rescue. So she did a little DNA test on him, but isn't he cute? He's visiting.
He's adorable. He's
Yeah,
very
he's a
calm.
cutie. He is
Yeah.
very calm. He's a good boy. Okay, friends, fantasize, go crazy. What would you love? How much money would you love? And we're going to talk on Thursday. And if you want to join us tomorrow and Thursday from 6:30 Mountain to 7:30 Mountain, it'll be the same Zoom, but I'll put that message in the WhatsApp chat too for Joni and Laura. Okay, I'm so excited. I want to hear how much money you want to make, have, spend, what you're going to do with it. I want you to get excited because this is
I'm ready.
happening.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Like it's going to get dark tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey, when does the study group start? Is that next
This
week?
week. No,
This
this
week.
week. Tomorrow.
This week. Oh,
Yep.
that's you. Gotcha.
I'll put it in the WhatsApp chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you. Hey, Kathy, feel better. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.